Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a massive shift in cybersecurity. We're going to look at how the threats themselves have changed and what that means for how we build software. You know, the whole software development lifecycle, or SDLC. The old playbooks, they're basically obsolete. It's time to turn that entire development process into our strongest line of defense. So let's just chew on this for a second. For years, we've pictured security as this digital fortress, right? High walls, a single gate, a moat. But that model is completely broken. The most dangerous attackers today aren't storming the castle. They're already inside, using our own trusted tools and credentials to just walk around like they belong there. And look, the data on this is just wild. A staggering 79% of all cyber attacks are now considered malware-free. Think about that. Attackers aren't even bothering with custom viruses anymore. They're just using what's already on your network: stolen passwords, legitimate software, and really, really clever social engineering. Your old-school antivirus that's looking for some known virus signature, it is completely blind to this new reality. And now, you have to add generative AI into the mix, which has become the attacker's best friend. It's a force multiplier that basically makes sophisticated cybercrime accessible to almost anyone. AI can now write flawless, personalized phishing emails that are nearly impossible to spot. It can automate password cracking to the point where it can guess over half of common passwords in less than a minute. And it's fueling this insane 442% explosion in vishing, voice phishing, using deepfake voices that sound exactly like your boss or your colleague. It's scary stuff. So if the threats have changed this much, why are we still clinging to these old security models? Well, the problem is that traditional security was designed to be a bottleneck. It was meant to be that final checkpoint before something went live. But in today's world of rapid development, that bottleneck hasn't just slowed things down, it's completely shattered. And this is the core of the problem, right here. This is the daily headache for chief security officers everywhere. For decades, the security team was treated like a toll booth at the end of the road. And this just creates constant conflict. The business wants to move fast, developers are under pressure to ship features, and security becomes the department of no, the team that everyone sees as a roadblock. This really shows the fundamental mindset shift we have to make. We've got to move from a world where security is seen as a gatekeeper to one where it's seen as a partner. It needs to stop being a bottleneck and start being an enabler. It's not about a final check, it's about a continuous process that can actually accelerate development instead of fighting it. Now, the consequence of this broken adversarial model is, it's terrifying. Almost half of all organizations openly admit that they've knowingly pushed code with vulnerabilities into production just to hit a deadline. When you force your teams to choose between speed and security, speed usually wins the battle. But let me tell you, the business almost always loses the war. All right, let's talk about the money. Because treating security like an afterthought isn't just risky, it has a staggering real-world cost that literally grows exponentially the longer you wait to deal with it. Here's the key takeaway. Waiting is not a strategy. It's just you racking up huge amounts of technical and financial debt. There's this concept called the rule of 10, and it's brutally simple. The cost to fix a security flaw multiplies by about 10 times at every single step you take in the development process. And this data from NIST and IBM just lays it all out. A vulnerability that might cost, say, $100 to fix while the developer is still coding it, well, that same bug costs about $1,500 to fix during testing. But if that flaw makes it all the way into production, the cost explodes to over $10,000. And that's before you even start to think about reputational damage or regulatory fines. Okay, so we see the problem and we see the insane cost. So what's the solution? Well, it's not about buying another shiny tool. It's a whole new philosophy called DevSecOps, and it's all about transforming security from that final afterthought into the very foundation of how we build software. And let's be clear, DevSecOps isn't something you can just go out and buy. It is a cultural movement. It's about breaking down those walls between your development, security, and operations teams. The entire goal is to make security a shared responsibility, something everyone owns at every single stage of the process. This whole philosophy really rests on three powerful, interconnected pillars, and together they form the foundation for a modern, resilient, and frankly, effective security practice. They are secure by design, shift left, and automate everything. So, pillar number 1, secure by design. This is the idea that you just can't bolt security on at the end anymore. It has to be woven into the fabric of the application from day one. This means doing things like threat modeling before a single line of code is written, really enforcing the principle of least privilege, and setting up secure defaults so the safest choice is also the easiest one for your developers. Pillar 2, shift left, is where this philosophy becomes reality. It just means moving all your security activities as early as possible, as far to the left on the project timeline as you can get them. You know, it's the difference between finding a vulnerability right on a developer's machine with a simple plugin versus finding it in a panicked last-minute test a week before you're supposed to launch. And finally, automation. This is the engine that makes the whole thing run. Manual security reviews are slow, they're inconsistent, and they just can't keep up with modern teams deploying code multiple times a day. By automating security checks and building them right into the development pipeline, security becomes this continuous, consistent process that gives you real-time feedback without slowing anybody down. So what happens when an organization actually commits to this? What's the real-world impact? Well, the results aren't just small improvements. They are dramatic, measurable wins that make you faster, safer, and a whole lot smarter. I mean, check this out. Organizations that have a mature DevSecOps practice fix security flaws an incredible 11.5 times faster than their peers. That's the shift left principle paying off in a huge way. You find things early when they're simple, cheap, and really quick to fix. And that proactive approach, it has a massive impact on what you actually ship to your customers. Applications built using DevSecOps are less than half as likely to have dangerous vulnerabilities in them in the first place. So you're not just fixing bugs faster, you're actually preventing them from ever being created. And the benefits go way beyond just the security team. You're saving huge amounts of money by avoiding those crazy expensive post-release fixes. You actually ship your products faster because you've gotten rid of that security bottleneck. And you create this automated, auditable trail that makes compliance a breeze and builds incredible trust with your customers. So ultimately, this all boils down to one critical question you have to ask yourself. In this new world of AI-powered threats, the process you use to build software, it's no longer just a process that needs to be secured. It is your new security perimeter. And the only choice you have to make is whether that perimeter is going to be your biggest weakness or your most powerful defense.